So have you ever heard of a book that's so ancient, it literally speaks from a world before the Great Flood? A book so mysterious, it actually describes heaven ages before the book of Revelation was even written? And get this, a book so powerful that the apostles themselves quoted from it. Well, this is the story of the Book of Enoch, a text that connects earth and eternity, yet for some reason, it's missing from pretty much every Bible in the world today. Okay, this quote right here, this is the heart of the whole mystery. This isn't some legend or something added in later. It's a direct quote, right there in the New Testament, from a book that was already considered ancient in the time of the apostles. I mean, the author Jude, he's treating Enoch's words as legitimate prophetic scripture.
So that's the big question, isn't it? If the very first followers of Jesus knew about this book, and they clearly valued it, what happened? Where in the world did it go? Well, the answer is way more fascinating than you might think.
To really get the book, you have to first understand the man, Enoch. He shows up in Genesis chapter 5, right in the middle of a long list of patriarchs. But you'll notice his story, well, it doesn't end like anyone else's.
This slide really just lays it all out. If you read through Genesis 5, you'll see this rhythm, this pattern of life and death. He lived this long, and he died. It just repeats over and over for every single patriarch, except for one. Enoch is the exception. The text says he walked so closely with God that he just stepped from earth right into eternity. He never actually died. The theological term is that he was translated.
Now, you might be thinking there was some big conspiracy, right? That the Book of Enoch was voted out at a council or declared heresy, but that's not what happened at all. It was much simpler. As the Roman Empire changed and languages like Hebrew and Aramaic started to fade in the West, the manuscripts just kind of fell out of circulation. They weren't available to the later scholars who were finalizing the biblical canon, so they couldn't include it. The book was, for all intents and purposes, simply forgotten in the Western world. But here's the thing. Forgotten doesn't mean gone, not by a long shot. While the Western world completely lost Enoch's voice, it was being meticulously preserved in one of the most ancient Christian kingdoms on the entire planet. I mean, just look at this timeline. It's an absolutely incredible journey. For more than 1,000 years, while the West had no idea it even existed, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church held on to the Book of Enoch. They kept it in their Bible, carefully copying it in their sacred language, Ge'ez. Then, in 1773, this Scottish explorer, James Bruce, brings copies back to Europe, and it just stunned the entire scholarly world. And then came the final, undeniable proof, the smoking gun. When the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered back in 1947, guess what they found? Fragments of the Book of Enoch, written in ancient Hebrew and Aramaic. This was it, absolute proof. This wasn't some medieval legend or a later Christian invention. No, this was an authentic, ancient Jewish text from the time of Jesus. History itself basically confirmed what Ethiopia had been preserving all along.
Okay, so what does this lost book actually say? What's inside it? Well, it fills in the blanks on one of the most cryptic, most bizarre passages in the entire Bible. The first few verses of Genesis chapter 6, the part that mentions the sons of God and the Nephilim. Enoch tells the full story. And it all starts with this number. 200. 200 heavenly beings, a specific class of angels called the Watchers, who descended from heaven and landed on Mount Hermon. There, they made a pact, a sworn oath to deliberately defy God's command. They came to earth and took human wives, but their sin was so much bigger than that. They taught humanity forbidden secrets, divine knowledge that creation just wasn't ready for. An angel named Azazel, for example, taught the art of making swords and shields. Others taught sorcery, astrology, even the use of cosmetics just for vanity. You see, they gave humanity the tools of heaven, but without the wisdom of heaven. And the offspring of these unholy unions? They were the Nephilim, giant, monstrous beings who were so ravenous they consumed all of humanity's resources. And when that wasn't enough, they turned on humanity itself, devouring people, drinking blood, and filling the entire earth with so much violence and lawlessness that creation itself cried out to heaven for judgment. And this gives us a totally new, profound perspective on the Great Flood. Suddenly, it wasn't just about punishing wicked men, it was a cosmic cleansing. God sent the flood to wipe out the monstrous Nephilim and to literally wash the earth clean of the deep corruption introduced by this angelic rebellion.
But this story is so much more than just a supernatural epic.
It's a really deep moral and theological warning about the nature of sin itself.
Okay, this is the absolute core of the issue. Knowledge itself isn't evil. The sin of the Watchers was revealing the how without the why. They gave humanity power but without piety, curiosity but without conscience, innovation but without any submission to the Creator. They handed us the tools of heaven but without the fear of the God of heaven.
You can really break their transgression down perfectly into these 3 steps. It was a complete, top-to-bottom rebellion against God's created order. First, they violated the sacred boundary between heaven and earth. Second, they violated God's authority over knowledge. And third, they tried to usurp God's unique role as the creator of life itself by generating this new hybrid race.
And this is where Enoch comes back into the story. He's taken up into heaven and given a direct message from God. He becomes the scribe of righteousness, and he's sent to pronounce judgment on these incredibly powerful fallen angels. He tells them, straight up, their petition for mercy has been denied. For them, there will be no peace and no forgiveness, only chains of darkness until the final day of judgment.
So, why does any of this matter? Why does this ancient, frankly strange story matter to us right here, right now? Well, it's because its central warning is absolutely timeless.
The Book of Enoch isn't just a dusty record of the past, it's a mirror for the present. The core temptation that brought that pre-flood world to total ruin, this pursuit of knowledge without wisdom, is the exact same one we face today in our own technological age. This quote just nails the connection, doesn't it? We are living in our own age of watchers, an era where we are chasing technological and scientific knowledge at a dizzying pace. I'm talking about everything from artificial intelligence to genetic engineering, and we're often doing it way faster than our wisdom can possibly keep up. It's an age where our curiosity can easily and dangerously outrun our conscience.
So the story of Enoch, a book that was lost for 1,000 years and somehow preserved against all odds, has found its voice again in our time. And it asks us a very pointed question. Are we willing to learn the lesson that a previous world learned far too late? The lesson that the ultimate goal isn't just to know more, but to walk more closely with God. The question really is, are we ready to listen?